Well, welcome back, and thank you once more for giving up your valuable time to take a look at my video YouTube channel. Now, we're continuing to take a look at more of these classic motocross racing machines from the 1970s and 1980s. And in this next feature clip, we'll be checking out another machine from the Peter Maxwell collection. So let's get right into it and check out his 1989 GM 500 water-cooled Maico. Now, you may remember that we just recently featured a lovely little 1974 TM100 Suzuki from Peter's collection on my channel, and so this Maico is yet another classic dirt bike from his many assortment of racing machines. Now, although this bike looks the goods and appears to be an authentic race machine from 1989, there are still one or two parts on this bike that are not from that era. But don't get me wrong, I'm not for a minute condemning this machine here, because it's still a superb looking classic and a fine example of a Maico machine from back in the day. Now, of course, in 1989, Maico were still using these chrome moly steel frames on their race bikes, and to be fair, many of the other big four Japanese manufacturers were also still using steel frames on their bikes. But of course, it wouldn't be long before aluminium would be the metal of choice for these motocross chassis, and that would be the material of the future for motocross machines. Now, the engine is a 488cc water-cooled two-stroke with a reed valve induction system. Now, normally these 500s would be fitted with a 54 Bing carburetor as standard, although our featured bike seems to have been fitted with a more modern Keihin carburetor. Now, in terms of ignition systems, these 500 GM Maicos use the all-electronic Motoplat system. Now, also on the motor, these had gear-driven clutches this time, of course, and not the old duplex primary chain as was used with the old Maicos, which were a bit prone to breaking if you didn't look after them. A 5-speed gearbox, of course, and when it was connected to this big water-cooled 500 Maico motor, the bike certainly had no shortage of speed when it was required. And these big 500cc water-cooled Maico engines could get along the road very quickly when you pull that throttle back. Now, the big 500 Maicos had these substantial 42mm telescopic hydraulic forks, which could be adjusted for rebound or dampening by adding or removing low pressure air through the Schrader valve on the top of each fork leg. Now, the forks were decent enough for their time, although motocross suspension, as we know, has moved on in leaps and bounds since these old Maicos were made. Now, at the rear of the bike, a single monoshock with a piggyback gas reservoir mounted on the side, which was then, of course, bolted via a linkage link to this very nice polished aluminium box section swing arm. And of course, these GMs had disc brakes on the front and rear. They were not the most powerful of their day, but they were very adequate for their time. A plastic airbox, of course, is fitted to this 500 with the added foam air filter that, of course, could be removed, cleaned, and then re-oiled for maintenance purposes. Now, our featured bike appears to have the proper exhaust system still fitted to their bike, although why anyone would want to have a motocross exhaust chromed is beyond me when you consider the kind of environment the machine will be used in. But it certainly brightens the bike up in terms of taking pictures. Now, many of these old motocross bikes lose their tailpipes during their working life, and as you can see here, ours has also been changed for a newer DEP tailpipe from Derek Elwell Pipes. Now, at the control end of the bike, a decent set of Renthal bars and replacement grips and levers have been fitted to our particular GM Maico, which work very well on this particular machine. Now, the GM's plastic fuel tank could hold about 10 litres of gas, which was just as well really, because that big 500cc engine could swallow gas at an alarming rate, especially if it was ridden hard doing a full length moto race. Now again, the front and rear wheels and their associated straight spokes are not the originals for this bike, but appear to have been changed for these good quality SM Pro alloy rims. Now, of course, the story of the Maico motorcycle company has been well documented, with years of successful racing machines during the 1970s, and then leading up to what was their best ever motorcycle and what is still considered throughout the world as the best open class motocross machine ever made. Of course, the mighty 1981 490 Mega 2. Now, but of course, since then the Maico factory went quickly downhill with family feuds and a lot of legal wrangling that was very ugly in the courtrooms, which eventually led to the company's demise. Although this featured bike was resurrected with new directors of the Maico company, and they attempted to try and boost sales in the American market with this bike to try and revive the almost forgotten Maico name. But of course, as we all know, it was just too little too late, and the Maico manufacturing company then just faded into motocross history. So in that respect, this bike really signified the beginning of the end for Maico as a motocross motorcycle manufacturer, which is a bit of a shame really, because if the company had been run more efficiently in the past, then who knows what kind of superb machines they could have produced in this modern motocross time. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed having a look at Peter Maxwell's very nice GM 500 Maico. Now, unfortunately, no startup in this particular video clip, as I know that recently my YouTubers have been making comments about how they would like to hear these bikes being started. But as I've mentioned before, a lot of these bikes I've covered on my YouTube channel are filmed very early in the morning, and the associated clubs have a curfew whereby riders cannot start up machines before a certain hour in the morning, so it's not always possible for me to catch them running. But on the other hand, owners who have very rare bikes are sometimes reluctant to have them fired up because of their uniqueness, and I can't always persuade them to start them up when they don't want to. And so there you have it. Not a fully original 500 GM Maico from 89, but nevertheless a nice example and part of Peter Maxwell's motocross bike collection. So as usual, thanks once again for viewing, and please continue to subscribe to my channel using the red button at the bottom right hand side of your YouTube viewer. But look out for more of these classic dirt bikes coming soon, and thanks once more for watching. This video was brought to you in association with WorldSport, the world's #1 supplier for all your off-road and leisure sportswear. Just visit their online website for more details.